They make it look like they really, you know, they're fans of the black community. But the truth is, it's all it's all a hoax. It's all just it's just gonna blow up in our face.
You know, in order to bring down society, you gotta bring down men first. You bring down the men, you bring down the society. And if you get a man thinking emotionally without his logical mind, this is emotional. Without his logical mind, then that's how you bring down a country.
I think the thing about being a slave was they never wanted us to know how to read. And the reason why they didn't want us to know how to read is because you can access information if you know how to read.
Stay dumb.
And they like to keep us there too. You know, keep us dumb, keep us away from what really happened in our country with black people during Jim Crow. They don't want us to know that we were actually prospering. I think they said even black people were out wedding white people at some point. They were out. We were actually economically we were outnumbering them there as well. You know what I mean? But they never talk about that, and they don't want to talk about that because they want to keep you in an emotional state and angry and frustrated and out there protesting instead of getting to work.
Dumb,
like you should be
keeping you dumb and emotional. Those are the two main things that you know. That they want you to be. They want you to keep you dumb and emotional. If you can stay not, you know, I say dumb, I mean that in like the, you know, I'm not meaning a derogatory way. I mean literally. They want you to not be knowledgeable of anything. They're suppressing knowledge. They're suppressing things that you're supposed to know, but you have to go down a rabbit hole to find it. That shouldn't be. Our history should just be there, right? You should be able to see it. But they hide it so much that you don't even know how well our people were doing. For a very long amount of time, for a very long amount of time, we were doing really well, and they don't talk about that part. They just skip, like Kara was saying, to Jim Crow. It's like slavery, Jim Crow, civil rights, but that's it. That's all you guys need to know about. But we don't ever talk about the times that we were doing well. You know, no one ever talks about that.
What I am noticing is how quickly black women are leapfrogging over black men.
Yes.
How quickly black women are just taking over the whole black community, and black men are starting to fall behind. You know what I mean?
It's emotional. It's like, and becoming a bit more emotional than normal.
Everywhere I go, I cannot hear enough about black women and their businesses and their whichever, but I hear nothing about black men. Nothing. There's nothing carved out for you.
Even if they are having businesses, you won't hear it. Even if black men are, you won't hear it. You'll just hear about the black women, woman power.
And then when you do see black men, they always have to hoist up black women. They're doing, you know, even if they're doing well, they still have to hoist them up to be doing it. You know what I mean? Things like that is what I look at. I look at the exchange of power between men and women, because to me that is going to be the biggest threat. More than, to me, reparations. And I'm talking about for white people too. Women being the runners of this country is going to end us, because women don't need to be no leaders of this country or really anything. To be quite honest with you, I was watching the Black Conservative Perspective put up this, but there's this podcast that's called Whatever, and it's like this guy and has a bunch of these dumb.
It's like the Fresh and Fit girls.
Kind of, only white, And so this girl says, I like men, but I don't need them. They're not necessary. This is what she says. And so the host, he goes, no, but you do need men, and I'll tell you why. Because everything around you here has been built by men. And how many times do I say that? Yes, you do need men. What do you mean? The only reason that you're liberal, and the only reason you can be free of what you think is free, the only reason you can be independent is what I should say. The only way you can be independent is because men created that for you. But I care more about that than I care about reparations. And the reason why is because I think that family structure of women being the country being matriarchal is going to help our country crash and burn a lot quicker than it's getting a reparation.
I think the patriarchy I think people not putting emphasis on how important the patriarchy is to me what is going to make things crash and burn. And this always seems to upset, whenever we talk about patriarchy, it seems to really upset women, right? And I'm like, you do know that a lot of your freedoms are there because of men. See, we lost that's what I'm saying, like we completely lost that control when it comes to family and the family structure. I actually believe that the family structure is what's going to save everything. I actually believe that things will be more in order. I think when your house is in order, when everyone's individual house is in order, not that everybody lives the exact same. You know, not everybody lives a different life. I'm just saying that in general speaking, when it was in order, people's homes were in order, it seemed that the country was. You know what I mean? Like it seemed like the country was. Not without problem, but definitely in order. So the only thing I see, like when I'm thinking about the past and the now, I just see, what I see the difference is that family. Like when you look at old videos and stuff, or even TV shows, we watch a lot of old TV shows. We only watch old TV shows really. But what was interesting about that is just that. It was like the family was always together. And to see even the evolution of TV and how they slowly but surely took away family. They got rid of, even when they kept men, they made them look dumb. And then eventually just got rid of them on TV. And we all know that TV is very, in a way, important because it kind of shows you.
Well, it's a mirror.
You know, so yeah,
it's a mirror of
what's going on in the country. Yeah, it is, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm more afraid of that, watching women trump men by fake sort of like it's almost like a lot of these women don't even deserve it.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything great. They're just because they're women. You know what I mean? That's it. You're getting promotions because you're a woman. You know what I mean? Like I said, you look at Joe Biden. He's surrounded by women he promoted.
Yeah.
And they're all black.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm looking at that. That reparation thing is such a distraction. I'm looking at that. Because I realize that if you want to devastate a group of people, you turn it upside down. Sometimes I see these young men now today, which I have nothing to say bad about, young men or women. But what I will say is what I'm seeing is the future, and I'm seeing these young men have nothing to do.
Yeah, like, I get really concerned because you know how much, when we were just talking about the patriarchy, how much the patriarchy is important, like even to us, how we think it's very important for this country to have that. But even when I get concerned when I see a lot of men, particularly black men, that are talking about this oppression thing. It really bothers me when I see that because it's concerning. Because a man that's going to be, talking about he's oppressed and he can't get a leg up from the white man, the systemic racism and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that doesn't sound like a strong man. You're not, you know what I mean? How they can't win. I can't win, I can't succeed. We have a subscriber, or I don't think it's a subscriber anymore, but there's a subscriber that, or a former, that comments on our videos. He's been with us for a little while, right? And I think that when Karen and I started going into being conservative, this particular person didn't really, I don't know if he didn't like that or didn't like the new way of us thinking because of our research. Anyways, and he wrote a comment recently, but he says, I've listened to your videos on and off for a while. Many of your points are valued and appreciated, but I find some of your statements in your videos really difficult to listen to. From my observation, you're missing too many points, and it's disappointing you two can't recognize for yourselves the systemic factors, the social list, and the lack of responsibility. And then he said, I really don't debate. The reason why he said, okay, so that's an interesting comment, right? Because I said back to him, okay, so I'm going to need you to point out a couple of, points that we have made that are not factually true or that we got incorrect, so we can kind of debate this, right? So he says, I don't really debate, right? That's what he says. He doesn't do debates, right? Now, I find that so interesting. But this happens all the time, not just him. Happens all the time. Whenever I say, or Kara says, or somebody says, especially conservatives, say, give us some points that we have incorrect when it comes to systemic racism, whatever it is. Abortion, what's it called, single motherhood rate, education, black people in education. I'm talking about just give me a subject, and then we're going to debate why we're saying what we're saying. But we're not just going to debate it. We're going to come at you with facts and statistics, and that way you can see that it's not matching up maybe with your, So I'm saying this, and I'm like, so you don't debate. So I need you to give me one thing to talk about so I can tell you why we're saying this. And I find every single time when people have this, they don't ever give a topic of discussion that we can go back and forth about. And I told this person before, I said, the problem is that you're at a high emotional state. And this is where they want black people. This is exactly how they want black people thinking. Everything on this comment is precisely what they need black people, black men, especially, because in order to bring down society, you got to bring down men first. You bring down the men, you bring down the society. You know what I mean? If you get a man thinking emotionally without his logical mind, this is emotional. Without his logical mind, then that's how you bring down a country. So I'm like, this is a high level of emotional energy and not what would be normal for him as a male to be logical. It's just emotion. And I find this a lot whenever I'm wanting to have a conversation. I always, in the comments, I'm always wanting to hear, your guys's, what, maybe we got something wrong. I mean, we could have got something wrong. We're not geniuses. We could have got something wrong, but it's like no one ever wants to debate it. No one ever wants to tell us anything. It's just a lot of emotional talk.
But comments like that are what I call what happens when a group of people have been taken over by the matriarchy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
When you want to bring men down, you have to get to women.
Yes.
Because women then will, quite frankly, do what Eve did.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the serpent, and then make her husband eat the apple too.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened. Women talk too much. Black women talk too much. They become the voice of the black community. Mm-hmm. And what ends up happening is they raise men by themselves, and men take on the identity of their moms. They become emotional and useless. And I hate saying that, is that if we don't have strong men, like a Booker T. Washington strong, like a Frederick Douglass strong, like a Malcolm X strong, if we don't have that type of male leadership, then what we have is this: people who are getting faced with a hard truth and can't deal with it, so they internalize it and they get emotional and upset. And instead of just telling us where we got it wrong or something, they still stay in feelings and anger and frustration because they have nothing. No, and this is an old subscriber, and I like old subscribers. It's great that a lot of people stay, but look, you're not going to bully me emotionally to stay where I am and stay ignorant. Okay? You don't get to do that to me. It's not going to happen because you don't want to move forward. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to move forward. You know what I mean? If you want to stay stuck on stupid, that's fine. I am not going to stay stuck on stupid. I'm sorry that you thought that black people were perfect and that we never made any mistakes, and that you want to stay on the struggle because somewhere it makes you feel good inside to feel like a victim.
Right. I
don't feel good. I don't like being a victim. Right. I think victimhood is useless energy. It keeps you where you are.
It's hard to watch, though. I hear this a lot. And I don't want this to turn into what black men are becoming. This overly emotional type person, because we don't need that. We just don't need that. I think as a society, we need, like Kara was saying, really strong men who are going to think more logically and understand why figures, stats, data is important. Okay? Because whenever I'm talking about these subjects, when it comes to politics, all these subjects we talk about, no matter what it is, pick a subject. I dive deep into stats and data. I do that because I want to make sure that I'm not just thinking about this country in an emotional state. To see the numbers kind of brings a lot of things to light. And I think sometimes people have to admit that they're wrong about stuff. Sometimes it's really hard for people to do that. Stuff.
When I look at things, I look it up because I can't believe it either.
Right.
I'm like, really? And then I look it up and I am shocked. Shocked that the first slave owner was black.
I had no idea.
I can't even believe that. You know what I mean? I'm so... there are some things I can't believe.
That's shocking.
I cannot believe. I mean, I didn't know for the longest time that the Democrats were the party of Jim Crow. They were the ones who did that. You know what I mean? They were the architects of the KKK. Mm-hmm. The KKK was built to keep black people voting.
Yeah.
Because they were free. They were the slave owners. I mean, I did not know that at all, because the whole narrative has always been that Republicans were the racist ones, and they made it look as though that they were the slave owner. I had no idea, but now when I look at it, they're still doing it. Democrats are still dividing people.
Yeah.
Doing stuff like this. You know what I mean? And the thing about black people is we are some of the smartest people, resilient people. We move on.
Yeah, we do.
You know what I mean? The problem that we have is that we seem to be
gullible.
we seem to make a deal with the devil too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The black slaves in Africa, I'm sorry, the black tribes in Africa that enslaved each other and then made a deal with white colonizers. Then, you know, and then we get here and we're just sort of okay with Lyndon B. Johnson
Right.
making decisions about welfare.
Yeah.
They actively went out to recruit women to be on welfare as long as you didn't have your husband in the house or your boyfriend or whoever it was in the house. They actively tried to keep us apart. They made it a thing so that as long as a woman, a black woman, did not have her husband or a man in the house, they would give you money, and we went along with that.
And the government became her husband and the father of her children, and this is where we're at now.
The NAACP was started by a white woman, a communist, basically, socialist.
No,
the slew. They used W.E.B. Du Bois as a face, so they could recruit black people. You know what I'm saying? The BLM, the founders, Patrice Cullors, Eric Mann. Another socialist. He was the one who trained those Marxist girls. They actively call themselves Marxists, and we again have gone along with the devil. It's like we keep doing it. You know what I mean?
We always do it.
Soros funded. You know what I mean? We just can't help ourselves, and every single time we make these like deals, even the Black Panthers, they did too. Their open letter. We're for gay rights. We're for that. They started just letting anybody in.
I know we had somebody when we did our Black Panther thing. Somebody was saying, oh, not a lot of people were like, oh no, Black Panthers would never have any. You guys are wrong. Black Panthers would never have any association with the LGBT community and the women's power. They were all about I'm like, guys, I kept saying this to people. It's not my words, okay? Huey Newton. He put out an open letter. And like a mass letter to all the people of the group saying what direction they're going to be going in. That's not me saying that. He wrote it.
It's an open letter.
So it's kind of like we don't believe in lying eyes. Like people don't want to see the truth. And then what happens is that so much of our history has been suppressed to where we haven't seen it. It's just been fleeting thoughts here and there. So we kind of get information, but not really. When really, honestly, all you have to do is some very light research and you'll find everything that we just said, right? If you want to go deeper, you may have to do a little bit more. But they have made it to where we don't know our own history properly and we don't have a good timeline. We don't know the timeline of the events of things that happened, how they happened, who did it, who was for who was. We don't have that timeline because it's all been kind of suppressed. You know what I mean? And so we are all growing up not knowing about, Walter Williams. We grew up not knowing about Thomas Sowell. These are amazing people that I feel like black people would have benefited. They would have benefited. We would have benefited so much if we were taught about these men in school. I think so. I think that we would have thought about money differently. We just would have been different people. But of course those men were Republicans and they, conservative men, and they were labeled coons and, Uncle Toms, and no one the message never got out. Larry Elder, this man is a walking encyclopedia.
Even the word Uncle Tom, Josiah Henson was an amazing man. Like, if you read that story, you would think, if you think we're sellouts, then why are you calling us Uncle Tom? Because that man was an amazing man.
Right.
Which is what clearly did not read that story. That is a lie.
It's based off of him.
That has been told to our people. Over another one.
Another lie.
We just accept all the time. We just
no research.
And I'm not saying that we're dumb. It's just that we get so emotional that we just gloss over things and we don't really look at it. Then when the truth gets hit to you dead in your face, then you don't know how to accept it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not going to stop saying this. I mean, people like. He was the one that also said that that he was mad that we didn't care about Black History Month. And no, I don't. You know why? Because Black history is American history. Everybody should know about what goes on in Black history because it happened in America. You know what I mean? Why are you just going to give us the shortest month of the year and then say that's us? And then why gay pride gets like 3 months?
And then even within the Black History Month, they don't tell you about the conservative Black people. That's the thing about Black History Month that I cannot stand, is that they only talk about these liberal Black leaders, and that's fine. I'm saying tell us about them, but they don't tell us anything about the other conservative Black leaders, because not even leaders, conservative Black people out there,
just inventors. By the way, it's not that they don't tell you about it; it's they don't tell you who they were. They just tell you they tell you about them. They don't tell you exactly who they were on the spectrum of our country.
We only hear when Black
they make it look like everybody was a Democrat, and this is the only way they were free and able to do stuff. That's just not true. I feel like sometimes Black people don't want to think we do anything wrong. They don't want us to take responsibility for anything. At all. And I'm not going to clap for our community when I see us falling off a cliff. Just because I'm Black and you're Black and I'm not supposed to say anything.
If I see it's wrong, I'm saying something.
I think that the way, like, you know, I think a lot of these celebrities, in particular, celebrities are a big deal because they change culture. You know what I mean? They're despicable. I can't even listen to rap music anymore because sometimes I listen to it and I just think to myself, this has really hurt us a lot. It's disgusting, a lot of this. You know, and I'm just over it.
Like, I just learned so much. You know, I mean, what I want for Black people, I want you to be informed, but I also want people to be able to take in information. But what I noticed that a lot of Black people do is that when it's something they don't like to hear, they shut down and then that's it. There's no more conversation. That just can't be true. I don't want to hear it. You know, I don't want to hear it. I just think that you should be able to listen to even what we're saying. You know, and then research what we're saying. That way you can know the truth. But a lot of people do not want to know the truth. They don't. You know, and people don't want to be educated in certain things because you want to stick to that story. That story is so important, and with Black people, it's been our story forever, right? You know, you're a oppressed Black person. You know, the white man's getting you down. So all of a sudden, when you hear a new story, it's like, oh wait, I didn't know that. You know, I mean, but I don't like when people they shut things down. I remember a long time ago because I have a Twitter account, but I never used it like in years. But I remember like 6 years ago, whatever the election. Maybe, I don't know which election it was. Anyways, I tweeted something. Like, I never tweeted, but I tweeted something, and it was about the election. And some guy from the UK came into my tweet, and he said, you know, I'm sorry to let you know, but you're not educated in this, on this subject. What you said is actually factually incorrect. Right? Now, this is the emotional liberal, Danielle. Okay, so you got to stay there. Okay, it's emotional liberal. Where I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about. I know what I'm talking about. You don't. Let's move on. Right? So I'm just kind of like that. But he's like, no, I'm telling you, you don't understand. And he was talking about the Electoral College. Okay, so I don't know. Okay, I watched CNN. I was watching MSNBC, and I'm just regurgitating what I'm hearing, just assuming that it's correct. You know, a couple of thoughts here and there, but nothing real, you know, nothing real, like, solid. Like, I didn't look into anything. But when he said the word Electoral College, I didn't know what he was talking about. So what I did is I went and researched. I didn't know anything about anything. This is why we're so into research. This is why for all these years now.
I'm also just fascinated.
Yeah, I went in and I looked up Electoral College and found out a lot about just the elections in general. The parties, all the parties, not just Democrat, Republican. I looked at every party. As soon as I realized I didn't know what I was talking about, I immediately stopped talking, and I'm like, you got to do research because you're saying stuff and you don't know what you're talking about. But this is exactly what happens with a liberal mind. Most liberals do not have any information, any factual information, no database, nothing. It's all emotion, and you end up looking like a fool. Like, I look like a fool. You know, out there saying all this stuff, didn't know what I was saying. But you know what? I was willing to be wrong. And I was. And I said I was wrong. I was willing to be wrong and learn. And I feel like what we're having a problem right now is that a lot of people are not willing to be wrong and learn. They're just willing to not listen and be taught. And I'm willing to be taught if I'm incorrect. And at that particular moment, you know, it was years ago, but I was incorrect. And I see a lot of what happens. I'm bringing this up because whenever I see comments you know, where people are not, they literally, it's like they're not wanting to hear what I'm saying, you know, and a lot of times I'll give like, you know, the numbers, or I'll give a website, or I'll give, you know, like a credible place where they got the information from, or from the horse's mouth, you know, and then I notice people shut down when they don't want to see, when facts come up, data comes up, statistics come up, people shut down when you do not want, when you're basing on everything on emotion, they don't want to know, and that's my fear. Yeah. That's my fear with Black people, is that we are not willing, we're so gullible. We hear what we hear on TV, we do no extra research, and then we go and regurgitate that to the world, and then we call ourselves oppressed. It's like, no, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Chad Jackson, he's the one who, he's one of the people who did the documentary Uncle Tom. He did the second one, but he said, he was on Jesse Lee Peterson, and he did an interview with him, and he was talking about Martin Luther King, and he was saying all this stuff about Martin Luther King that honestly I didn't know, but it's in Martin Luther King's own words. Like he was reading from his words, not what people were saying about him.
Right,
and it was receipts. Right? Just that he didn't believe in the triune God. He didn't believe. I mean, he didn't believe in the Trinity.
Yeah, the Holy Trinity.
How did he not believe that? That was interesting. And then he was most of his speeches were made by communists.
Communists, yeah.
His most
speech
popular,
writers, the speech writers,
and that he was down for the LGBT, a pastor. In the 60s, his wife was too. You know what I mean? Even Coretta Scott King wanted the love, honor, obey out of her vows. Yep.
The obey part.
A woman who was marrying a pastor in the 60s did not, or 50s, did not want that to be put. But he went on to talk about a lot of other things that you wouldn't believe it unless you actually heard it. But now I do kind of believe it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he had a lot of Marxist ideas. And he said this is the interesting part. Other than that, he said, Jesse said to Chad, he said, why don't Black people ever want to hear the truth? Why he said sometimes I will go to Black people and I will read from Martin Luther King's own words, and they'll look at it and they'll go, I believe it, I see what I'm saying, but he was still a good man. It's like it's like we've been so brainwashed to not think that people can ever be wrong. That's an emotional answer. To have Black skin. You know what I mean? And it's not that I'm saying that everybody, I mean, Martin Luther King was a human. He wasn't a god, but we treat him like he was. Yeah. We treat Barack Obama that way too. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because he was the first Black president. It's like he can never do anything wrong. He like a whole lot of mistakes. Right. You know what I mean? But the thing is that our need to not look at ourselves and see where we've made our mistakes instead of always trying to find someone else to blame. That is where I think that perspective and how we are in our community is where it actually hurts us. Yeah. It's not reparations. Believe me, there have been plenty of people who have gotten tons and tons of money.
I know. It's
and
true.
And they've lost it in a matter of a year or so. Why? Because they don't know anything about money. Money doesn't help. More money, more problems.
Right.
That's just what it is. You know what I mean? And I think that the whole reparations thing is being used.
It is.
To keep us in this emotional spot, to keep us pulling a lever for a party that we 90% vote for.
Well, it's like you said, it's like they dangle a carrot up.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, they dangle a carrot up.
You know, I was reading the other day, they said, I think Gothics was talking to this guy, and he said it's amazing because I think he said, I can't remember the exact numbers, but he said like 85% of Black voting males vote for the Democratic Party. He said, but 99% of Black women that vote for the Democratic Party. He said that almost seems impossible. Well, but he said and then Gotham was like, it does. But if you actually see how the Democratic Party has hoisted up Black women, you can see why Black women vote that kind of way. And
like a lot of you guys are always like a lot of you guys will say in the comments, Black conservative women, I can't even believe it, right? And I'm like, so when I first heard that comment a long time ago, I thought, is it that rare? Because I didn't think it was. I knew that it's not a lot of Black conservative people, period. But then when I found about the 99%, it's like, oh wow, so that's a problem. That's a brainwashing. Yeah, that's robotic.
I mean, Joe Biden actually told Charlamagne on camera, if you have a problem wondering if you're going to vote for me or Trump, then you ain't Black. He said that to a Black man.
It's amazing.
I mean, he said that out loud.
It's amazing.
For everyone here, and no one took pause at that. Like that, like they think they own us.
I know. It's really weird.
They think they own us, and the Republican Party does such a bad job at trying to get us over there because they think that they can't connect with us.
Yeah, they're done.
So they're just like, they're up there for 90 percentile who can't connect with them. You know what I mean? But I think we're more conservative.
I think
as a group of people, we're more conservative than we are anything Democratic. And honestly, I think that platform, not the politicians. When I say Republican, I don't mean like Mitt Romney and Ron DeSantis and even Trump. None of that. I'm talking about the platform.
Yeah, the platform.
Even the Democrat. You look at the platform. I mean, building families, believing in God. Like it's kind of that in our history, that was us.
Yeah.
Free market. You know what I mean? Things like that. You know what? All of this social stuff from the left has really killed us.
Yeah.
Economically, we're like, you know what I mean? I'm almost afraid if we even got reparations, how we would even handle that kind of money.
I think we would handle it. We are buying power. We buy more. Black people are the biggest buying power in the country. We buy more than we own or save.
It's the way that you succeed in life is the way you think.
Yeah.
Money really means nothing. Most people start businesses and they have nothing.
Yeah.
They start businesses from nothing.
Right. It's
no
true.
real money. It's all mental.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? How you see yourself going forward. But if all you ever do is see yourself in the past as like some sort of victim class where you didn't even experience the victimhood, then I can see why we're kind of slaves to the state.
Yeah. We're basically just a see something, say something thing. So
Right.
if we see something wrong, we're going to say something. If we see something right, we're going to say something. So, I don't know. But you guys let us know what you think. Leave some comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, guys. And that's it. We will see you guys in the next video. Bye.